All right, welcome back to the Old Bull and Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast. As you see, the old man's on his own right now, so the Young Calf's hoping to jump back in at some point. He is hosting dinner with my parents and cooked them some steaks on the grill, all that good stuff. Hopefully, he does that same for me when I head back up there. So here we go. All right, breaking news right off the bat. Unfortunately, Jason Tatum is out. He is not playing tonight. And not to state the obvious, but that's not good. And it's not that they can't still win. It's more of it takes like an act of God. Like the Celtics need to tackle him and hold him down to keep him out of regular season games. The fact that he is missing a playoff game, his first in his career, I believe this would have been 115 playoff games for him. That's not good. To me, that says that this wrist injury is a little more serious than the Celtics are letting on. So, I mean, hopefully it's not, they're not flat out lying to us. Hopefully it's not a break and it's something that's, going to put them out for the playoffs or even, you know, the first two or three series. But man, not great because this guy does not miss games. He does not miss regular season games, never mind playoff games. So, but let's try to keep it positive. Does that mean that the Celtics are in trouble tonight? Does that mean they can't win? I mean, of course they can. They have plenty of other talent to compensate for not having Tatum. And not to pick on Tatum, but he has been better with eliminating the ISO ball that used to drive a lot of us nuts. And he's definitely been a better distributor. His assists are up to 6 a game this year, the highest it's ever been. So when he does miss a game, which isn't often, the team does generally move the ball well, better. So I feel like they're gonna look like they're not gonna miss a beat without him. I think they're gonna look fine. If you had asked me, hey, what do you feel like betting when it was 12 points, when they thought Tatum could still play, giving up 12 points, I would have been like, game two, the Celtics generally snooze on games two. They lost two of them last year. They get comfortable, it feels like, after winning that first game. And then, for some reason, they lay an egg. They don't come out with the same urgency in game two. But now that Tatum is out, I the spread's gone down to the Celtics only giving up like 10.5. I'd actually feel better about taking them because I feel like the other players are going to be more motivated to pick it up for Tatum. So hey, don't worry about it. We got you. We're gonna take him. Look for Jalen Brown to force his will on the Magic players tonight and be the man. He had that one game against Miami, game seven, where we were down 3 games to nothing a couple of years ago, and we battled back to tie the series at 3 games apiece. Jason Tatum, in the first couple minutes of the game, sprains his ankle bad. He's barely a shell of himself for the rest of the game. He's just hobbling around, and Jalen Brown to this day has serious regrets that he didn't do more. He didn't take over that game. He didn't insert his will more against the Miami Heat. So, this is his opportunity. This is his chance right now to, say, hey, Tatum's not here. Get on my back, boys, and I'm going to help carry you. So, hopefully he has that in him. We'll see if he. I don't want him pushing the issue too much tonight. I don't want him to, kind of overdo it and start chucking up a bunch of contested threes. We don't need that. We just need him to insert himself a little more into the game than he normally does. Play a little bully ball down low and all that good stuff. But as far as the other players go, Derek White was a monster last game, Peyton Pritchard was a monster. Drew Holiday had, basically he was the linchpin that set off the third quarter. He was the guy, not gaudy numbers, six, he had 9 points, but man, what a force he was turning that game around, which was super tight in the third quarter. And Drew Holiday all of a sudden just turned into playoff Drew and steals, 3 pointers, hit three pointers in a row, crazy good defense, and that's just what Drew Holiday does. He bides his time and he waits for the game to come to him, and he just makes amazing plays like that. Not to pick on the guy, but he's the opposite of Marcus Smart, right? Similar players physically, both strong guys who can hold up against bigger, offensive players, but they can hold their own, and they were great defensive players. But Marcus Smart would force himself into the game where Drew Holiday would just let the game come to him. And, that's why he's so invaluable. That guy is just absolutely the man. So let's see. And who am I looking for tonight that had kind of a quiet first game? Porzingis. Porzingis, I get it, right? They were trying to post him up more. Not I'm not even though he's still taller than everyone else out there, I'm not crazy about that strategy against Orlando. Orlando is a big team. Okay, they don't have the length to face up guard Porzingis, but they're tall enough where when Porzingis has them posted up and he turns around and does his jumper, the Orlando guy is in his face and they're closer to the blocking the shot than your average team, can against him. So I would like to see him roaming more outside the 3-point line like he generally does, where they do some high pick and roll action that gets him that wide open 3-pointer. And he only had one of those last game, and that's been his bread and butter since coming back from his injury. So I'm hoping they not completely get away from the the post up, but at least get him more involved in the 3-point action. And the other guy I'm looking at is Hauser. Hauser has been an amazing 3-point shooter in the second half of the season after getting off to pretty crappy start to start the year. And he didn't with Tatum out, he should get a bump in minutes. And I like to see him, you know, put his stamp on this game and kind of did what Peyton Pritchard did. With hey, get that ball, you get some space, fire it up, get hot and keep chucking them up. But hey, if it's not your night, and this goes for anyone on the Celtics, I'm always big on this. Know when it's not your night. You know, Derek White was 7 for 12 from three last game. Absolutely amazing. Derek White's capable of going 1 for 6 this game. To me, the key in the playoffs is knowing when it's not your night and to stop chucking the threes up when you get that feeling. Hey, next game's a new game. Come out chucking those threes in game 3. Okay, it's not your night tonight. You miss your first 4 or you're 1 for 5 to start. Score other ways. Help the team in other ways. It's playoff time. It's not about numbers and regular season trophies and any of that. It's time to be unselfish, and that's about it. So let me see. Keys of the game, they're always the same, pretty much. Defense for 48 minutes. That is the point I really tried to drill home last game before, in our pregame, was watching game 2 of the finals last year. It just absolutely shows that my point here is true. As long as you play 48 minutes of defense with the level of defenders the Celtics have, it doesn't matter how bad you shoot, you're going to be in that game. It's kind of forgotten because the Celtics won game 2 last year against Dallas in the finals, but they were absolutely atrocious. They shot, I believe, 21% from 3 that game. I mean, it was gross, but the fact that they played defense for 48 minutes kept them in the game and the Celtics finished them off at the end. And that's what happened really in game 1. The Celtics, You know, they were struggling. They they were actually losing by a point at halftime in game one against Orlando, and but it didn't matter. Orlando eventually, who's one of the worst scoring teams in the league, it caught up to them, and they couldn't score on us. And you know, Celtics went on a run. Next thing you know, the Celtics are up by almost 20 points, and this Orlando team, they do not have the firepower to come back from that. Any lead in the second half that is 20 points, give or take a couple points, the game's basically over. You can't say that about many NBA teams because the way three point is just rain down sometimes, and the way teams come back, no team's out of it really, and every team has a run. But this Orlando team's different. They cannot come back from large deficits. So I mean that's really the key. Get a 20-point lead somewhere early in the second half, and this game's already over. I mean they can come back if the 20-point lead happens, early second quarter. There's still plenty of time left because, as we all saw, Orlando can play defense. They are, you know, they're also the second best defensive team in the league. And I mean, it showed. They held the Celtics to barely over 100 points. We're not used to that. Celtics are used to getting almost 120 points a game. So these guys are no joke on defense. So we just have to get that big lead, and it's as simple as that, and continue to play our defense. But you know, the silver lining to having Tatum out is I just don't think the rest of the players take Orlando for granted, and we come out lackadaisical like we did in game two against Miami last year in the playoffs and game two against Cleveland last year in the playoffs, where we just lost those game twos. Comfortable wins in game one. We got this. No problem. I'm gonna come out in game two and just cruise to a win. And nope. The other team came out ready to play. And granted, Miami had like a historic night shooting the ball. They had a bunch of bums that's all of a sudden turned into Steph Curry's out of nowhere. So we'll see. Hey, Ramona, my all-time number one favorite fan. Hello, gentlemen, on my third Heineken. Yes, I love that. And she's getting her pregame on, getting fired up for the big game. Oh, and the young Cavs back.
Just a
Thank you,
little bit.
baby Jesus.
A little
Yes.
bit. Had to grill some ribeyes. They said I did a good job, and that's what's important. So now it's
Wow.
about
And you have
that.
my favorite steak, so you got to rub that in too.
Yeah. So
That's fantastic.
now it's time for the Celtics to do a good job and cook this Magic team that has come out. I don't know if you've touched on this, but they've come out in the media and they're like, "Oh, we got them crying, we got them complaining. We're gonna keep mucking it up, making it messy." And I guess that's what you have to do when you're at such a skill discrepancy. But man, does it feel bad to see our guy Jason Tatum out for his first ever playoff game. I mean, talk about an Iron Man for our team. I really hope. I don't know if it's even remotely possible, but I really hope it's because they fully anticipate a sweep this series. But man, is that scary. I cannot believe he can't play. Like, at least, from a decoy perspective, him just to totally sit out is going to be very interesting for this offense, because I know Derek White put up 30 points, but that's because, Jason Tatum was getting mugged by two guys every time he touched the ball. So it's going to be interesting.
I'm, gl-
Just, go ahead, Dad.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know that Orlando's kind of talking that smack, throwing that around. That's good. Hopefully, that's gotten back to the Celtics players, and that's another way of motivating them. But yeah, man, I kind of let off with that. I said that's injury. It's not good. That's not good. And I said it's not because the Celtics can't win tonight without him or anything like that. I go, it takes like an act of God. It takes the Celtics team to like tackle and hold Tatum down to keep him out of regular season games, never mind a playoff game. That is not great. So I think that injury is a little more significant than they're letting on. And I said, I hope they're not lying to us that it really is broken and he could miss the playoffs. And, I hope they're not taking it that far. But hopefully it is what you said, Matt. They're confident they can still sweep these guys without him, and they're just going to let that risk get right. So, but I mean, we're jumping ahead of ourselves. It's only one game. He could be back for game three. We'll see.
Yeah, the good part about it is these kind of bigger gaps. Like, if this had happened later in the playoffs, it would be a lot more difficult to navigate. When you're like one day on, one day off, and then you play again. We play today. We do. Like, it looks like it does kind of jump to that, closer games after this, so that does kind of suck. But it is what it is. Got to take care of business. Super, kick in the stomach because
That's all right. I mean,
yeah,
until we get definitive like terrible news, like he's out for half the playoffs or the whole playoffs, again, like you said, Matt, it's a good point. I mean, if this happened against Cleveland, like, oh, then it's like crap. Like, even if he forces himself back, his game's probably going to be hindered a little bit, through the pain,
yep,
mostly probably stuff from hanging on the rim and getting whacked. Let me tell you, you watch for that, Matt. When Tatum comes back, he's going to be getting
the
whacked in
slapping.
that wrist. It's going to be on purpose too. Every hard foul is going to be at his wrist. That's going to be a target, and that's going to be a real thing. So you'll definitely see that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's his gamesmanship, and that's probably what something the Celtics would do too if Donovan Mitchell had the same situation they were going up against each other.
yeah, we'll see. And man, it's gonna be interesting how Missoula. This is what we paid Missoula the big bucks for, right? We really need them to, game
Yeah.
plan, get our guys open, even though Jason Tatum's not out there doing what he does. Um, Man, what a tough foul. What a tough way to start the playoffs. But fingers
Holy
crossed.
cow, is my son down? He
I'm
is
so sad.
down.
I'm
Oh
so sad.
man.
I just like
It's
this
like I
this
didn't get you something for Christmas when you were a
I
kid that
know.
you really wanted. What is
This
going
team
on?
is such like an outlet, for the aggression and disappointment and depression of the rest of the sports franchises in the city. And for
A
Tatum
lot
to
hangs on him. Yeah, we don't
yeah,
have much hope elsewhere. The Bruins are about to start rebuilding. I mean, they could get back next year, but I don't know. The Red Sox, every time they
yeah.
kind of give
And then
us
of course the
hope this
Patriots.
year, and the Patriots. I think the Patriots are coming back too, but the Celtics right now are the closest thing we have to a bona fide championship contender. So I get it.
Yeah.
Everything hangs on this. And that's why I kind of like bummed out. We don't get a lot of our listeners. We get more listeners for the Patriots stuff and the Bruins stuff. It's like, guys, the Celtics appreciate that. Even if you're just kind of a casual Celtics fan, see if you can get yourself to be a bigger fan because what they got here is something special. And if they do keep this team together, this run's going to be going for a while.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like they talked about the X-ray, coming back clean. The MRI that it mentioned, it just says right distal radius bone bruise. I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know what the
Yeah.
timetable is for that. What that looks like. But man, I hope it's a relatively quick turnaround. I mean, it's not. It doesn't seem like it's a soft tissue issue. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like a break.
Yeah.
So,
Matt, do you have
uh,
any keys for the game tonight?
yeah, yeah. I think the biggest key to the game is Kristaps Porzingis, right? I mean, he got a free
Ah,
pass
I
that
said
first
that
game.
too.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So if I got to get creative, the key to the game is for the guys to prove they can generate their own shots. I think Jason
Mm.
Tatum, and this is what everyone needs to be aware of with this team, is yes, Jason Tatum didn't have the best offensive scoring game personally, but the gravity that he brings to the floor and the 40 minutes he played is now off the table. And
Yep.
that's going to, Derek White for sure, 30 points. Got to do that now without Jason Tatum getting that much. Pritchard, now and a lot of these guys are going to have the best defender on them more often than
It's
not
a good
now.
point, Matt. I didn't bring that up earlier, which is
DCP is going to be on other people, and he's their best
yeah,
guy.
the double teams that he commands, those aren't going to be there. The point I made was I said, even though Tatum's gotten a lot better at getting away from the ISO ball and being more of a distributor, the rare games he missed, it does feel like the ball does still move better. It's like the team wants to prove like something or have his back when he's out. Like the ball does feel like it moves a little more when Tatum's out. But this is the playoffs and the defense is tighter. And like you said, Matt, it's a good point. Like you take for granted the double teams that Tatum, commands, and players are going to find there's not as much room, as there usually is when Tatum's out on the floor with them.
Yep. And I mean, our bench shortens up, so we're going to see more minutes from probably Torrey Craig. We're going to see more minutes from Cornette. Um, it's going to be interesting. And you look it up. It's like bone bruise on the right distal radius or wrist. Typically heals within 2 to 4 months. Did you see that timeline? Did you look that up?
Well, that's probably 2 to 4 months for it to be 100% no pain. But from what everyone's saying, Matt, it's a pain tolerance injury.
Yep.
He's just gonna have to suck it up at some point. Hopefully, hopefully it does some healing. It's so obviously from that, Matt, it's not going to be healed because even if it was 2 months, that's 2 months of resting. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's
It's
gonna be
not gonna.
different.
He's not gonna be resting. He's gonna be playing. He's gonna be kind of re-aggravating a little
Getting a
bit when he
hit.
gets
Yeah.
whacked on it. When he's hanging from the rim, he's gonna be re-aggravating it. It's gonna be a pain thing. So hey, if it's just like that kind of pain, he's a pro athlete. He's a tough kid. He'll handle it. Trust me. He'll
Yeah.
he'll get through it. People like to call him soft and all that. Listen, you don't play as many games as him at being a soft player who can't handle some damn pain. Because trust me, he gets his little injuries. He's a professional basketball player that plays like almost 80 games a year because he doesn't take games off like most stars do. So that guy deals with pain just fine. He's not like even if he doesn't look like he's in pain or doesn't show it, trust me, he's in pain. He's got injuries. Like, they're just minor ones and he's tough and he battles through it.
Yep. So we'll see. 7:06. So go Celtics. Hopefully, we see a Celtics win tonight. Cleveland loss would be awesome as well, and
No,
another
I
good
don't, I
game
don't
in
know about that.
Houston.
I don't
Houston
think
and
that's
Golden State.
happening.
We'll
All
see.
right. See you after the game. Post
All
game,
right.
folks.
Bye, guys. See ya.
Bye, guys.